QueerCentric is a platform for voices in the margins. It's a place where we can talk about anything because the art of conversation is missing, and I want it to be a place where we sit down and we talk about important subjects that affect all of us that are in the community. And it just so happens to be I'm a big old weirdo. I just want to do it all because here's the big secret that everybody knows and no one really talks about. You live one time. And I don't care if you're 20 or 112. If you want to do something, do it. Because it's never going to be a better time than right now. Hello, everyone. You know it's your favorite Queerdo. It's Jonny here for the QueerCentric. We're going to have a really good show. True success comes down to the right combination of ingredients. Whether that's in love, whether that's in my beloved theater, or whether that's in baking and like 100 other things. But I haven't dialed in the metaphor too much, so deal with me. But I can tell you, if that's the case, this is going to be an amazing show. You might recognize the two faces on your screen from the Food Network. You might recognize them from their show-stopping bakery in Vegas, ShowBoy Bake Shop. But you're about to know them from being on the show. We want to welcome to the program two amazing people that I had the pleasure of meeting, Sullivan and Lowry. How are you boys?
Hi guys, how are you? Good to see you again.
Oh, it's so nice to see you guys. I had the best time when I was down there. I still show pictures of the ShowBoy Bake Shop because I've not seen anything like it.
And so guys too, like when you guys were traveling through, it was like the heat of summer. Like
yes.
You were absolutely brave to do what you were doing. But then you were heading to Palm Springs, so I guess it was heat.
On our trip, the Vegas broke their heat record, which I'm like, are you serious? How much hotter could it be? Vegas broke it, and then 2 days later, when we drive to Palm Springs decided to break their heat record. So, yeah. I mean, we were very hot bears, so we're like, we get it, but like, we don't need it to be that literal. That didn't need to happen.
Yeah, at least in Palm Springs, you can kind of shed all of your clothing and everything.
Exactly. And I mean, I'll admit, I've told everybody, we were at a clothing optional resort. But can I tell you, that's fine and dandy, but when it's 124 by the pool, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
No. We could have boiled things in the pool. It was just not. It was not a thing. But I loved both cities. I've been to Palm Springs many times. That was my first time to Vegas. And what a joy. You all gave me exactly what I love. And we got to eat cupcakes.
Yes.
No.
I mean, you can't come here and not have a cupcake.
No.
We'd be very...
and it has to be from you guys. And people need to witness the kick. So before we get into what it was like to actually be in that shop, I want to start... I mentioned a lot of people probably know you from the Food Network. Can you give us a baseline of your greatest hits that you've been on there now?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the very first thing that we did was a little show called Cupcake Wars.
Which was a really big deal, actually, because... I was like such a Cupcake Wars fan, and when they called us for it, we'd only been open for a few months, and I was like, we can so do this. I had no idea.
Oh my God. We were so confident.
So confident, overly confident.
Oh yeah.
Because that was the hardest show I think we've ever done.
Yeah, it was our first show and the worst show that we ever did.
Well, I'm pretty sure I heard you guys... What was that?
We got second place, so...
Which is crazy, because you told stories about how Food Network didn't love.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So tell me about that.
I do also just want to say... he does always say we came second place. We just lost.
No. We were the Catherine McPhee of Cupcake Wars.
We were the Catherine McPhee.
Exactly. And you know what? If you're gonna be someone, that's not a bad option.
It's not a bad option.
No. Yeah. Have you seen her lately? I'd be her right now.
That slutty waist face, I'm good to go.
Yeah.
I love that. Tell me what it was like for them to come. You guys put your heart and soul in everything that you do, and they're like, that was okay.
Well, what's funny about Cupcake Wars, and I do forgive... I apologize because we didn't really answer your question of the greatest hits, but what was hard about Food Network was when you sign up to do it, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about this, but you have to basically okay the Food Network to be able to publish everything that you do. So, you've got to have like recipes and all these things ready to go. And as someone who was so new to having the shop, I was like, I don't want my recipes published.
Oh my God, we were so scared. We're like, everyone's going to steal our recipes. We just opened, like, we can't do this. We can't do this.
So we kind of went to Cupcake Wars with recipes that we made up on the spot, kind of, so that we could give them something.
Yeah, and I don't recommend doing that.
10 out of 10 don't do that.
Don't do that, no.
And especially now with the way everything's evolved with social media and everybody wanting to see what you're doing, it's fine now. If you want my recipes, you bake it at home. It saves me a job. But
I don't want to bake it, so
exactly.
But we definitely went in feeling very competitive and very secretive. Yeah. And I've since learned doing the shows that we've done since, that let them have it, and give them your...
Because in the end, they're never going to be exactly like you guys create. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, everybody has their flair that makes it, and so it's... No one's ever going to duplicate that. And I will mention that you mentioned Cupcake Wars. You've been on Cake Wars, Wedding Cake Championship, Macy's Thanksgiving Cake Spectacular. Like
that was a good one.
They must love you. You know, even if that first one was like, they must have loved you now because they bring you back.
I think they found out that we were entertaining, at least. I mean, all of the hits that they gave us, we kept rolling with it and everything. And we gave them good content.
And I think, too, the Food Network in general likes to find a pool of people that they know can do all the things that they want. There's like a little checklist of, can they talk while they're baking? Can they, be entertaining? Can they do good interviews? Right. I do feel like we're easygoing enough that whatever they ask us to do, we'll do it. If you want us to say this, say that in the interviews, like, we're not going to give you any problems. So I think they like those types of people.
And if anybody's done any research or listened to any of the podcasts you've been on, I mean, just the story about the wedding cake with the heads rolling, you guys are able to pivot in a way that for people who do television, they're like, this is the best.
Oh my God, they were thrilled.
Look, listen, I'm going to level with you. For the Wedding Cake Championship, they said they booked us for the show. They did not tell us, by the way, it's going to be in Malibu in the mountains. We're going to be outside. It's going to be cold in the morning. It's going to be hot in the afternoon. It's going to be humid. So when we did the show and, our cake falls apart in the first episode, in the judging, David Tutera was like, if I had booked you for this wedding, you'd be fired. And I was like, yeah, but also, like, I wouldn't have baked their wedding cake in this tent in the middle of nowhere.
Yes, exactly.
But also, it's so funny how you want to stick up for yourself, but you're also like, there's that level of like, why I have to just take the critique and be like, oh, yeah, all right, David.
Right. So do they, because that's quite an impressive roster so far. Are they going to keep calling you? Do you think you're going to get to keep doing it?
They do, yeah.
They call us a lot. I feel like the one thing that I get from them a lot is the championship shows, like the Easter, the spring
baking championship, the Halloween wars. They keep asking us to do.
But they always want us to go on separate teams.
Yeah, that's their thing now with us, because we always go on and we compete together. So now they're like, we want you guys to do it, but compete against each other. And I'm like,
wow.
I don't know how to bake. Like, this job.
And also, I am so insulted for you. That is not,
It's just rude.
Yeah. And I think
exactly.
Like, you were here at the store. You see, like, what we do. It's very it's a pair. We come as a pair.
Yeah.
So
it's very collaborative.
Exactly. Very, and I feel like either we would go on it and we would lose because we're not together, or two teams would win because I'd be helping him and he'd be helping me.
Exactly. And then they're like, oh, now we're going to do a show all about ties.
Exactly.
Right at the end of it. So tell me, you guys, and this, I could be not even thinking this through correctly, but you guys are already a very successful bake shop. There is a list, people, it's like a few weeks, I think, still to make your order and expect it. So you must do the TV show because you enjoy it, because it's not like you need it. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah. I mean, we always want to stay relevant and, like, keep up with everything, keep up with, like, the trends and be on people's TikToks and Instagram and everything. So we never want to get, like, complacent and bored with what we do, and we're so like showbiz minded from our background. I guess that's always kind of just a part of us, you know, like we have to keep it modern, we have to keep reinventing ourselves, we have to do this, like we have to add more jewels to the store, whatever we get noticed, we're gonna do.
Can you add more jewels to the store? I don't know, because it's perfectly blingy.
You can always add jewels.
I will, and I told the company that do Cupcake Wars, all of the wars is super delicious. And I've told them time and time again when we've talked to them, of all the shows we've ever done, it still goes back to Cupcake Wars. And Cupcake Wars is the one thing that people still come into the store and they're like, we saw you on Cupcake Wars. I'm like, that was like 12 years ago. Like, it's not. But it's that's what people like. They like.
You know, it's that one. Cupcake Wars brings in a lot of people, and the other one, not a competition show, but we did Sister Wives quite a few times. Brings people in all the time. They're like, "We saw you on Sister Wives."
Yeah,
they want to know all about the families and their houses.
Yeah, and speaking of Sister Wives, I have this note that all it says is Duck Dynasty the musical? 80 question marks.
That's where we met them. Yes.
That's what I remembered that story. First of all, what the hell is that?
Well, okay, let me start the story with this. Duck Dynasty the musical, it was on at the Rio. I think the plan was to kind of test it here, see where it would go to Broadway. And it had Gina Claire Mason was in it, who is a dear friend of ours.
Phenomenal.
And it was so cute. It was a fun idea.
I mean, she's not right now, but she was Glinda on Broadway for the longest time, and now she does Hallmark movies. So
yes, she does.
She's amazing.
So but when we were there to see the show, because they had us make, we made a duck cake.
Yeah, it was like a little camouflage rubber duck.
It had like all the things you'd see in the show, and the Sister Wives were all there. The whole family was there. And on the way out, we talked to Janelle, who became a really good friend of ours, and she just remembered us from that night. And so she would always order like the party cakes, or I think at one point it was a baby shower for her daughter.
Yeah, we did like a reunion thing for them.
And let me tell you, like you see people on TV all the time, and you get invested, or you don't like people, or whatever your situation is. They're the nicest family. They were so lovely.
Oh, I love that.
Every one of them. They were so nice to us.
Also, I love that for you guys, because you guys are such big fans. It's always nice when you meet the people that you're fans of and they live up to it.
And another shout out I always love to do in that reference, when they say like, don't meet your heroes. I always say the nicest people. Growing up as a Nickelodeon kid in England, the nicest people I've ever met that were my idols was Tia and Tamara. I just want to throw that out there. The biggest idols ever. I love them.
I didn't get to meet them, but
I guess you're gonna have to find out occasion you can go make stuff for them.
Oh my God.
They are the nicest people. I will say in my business, I meet a lot of cranky people, so I always love authentic people, and we always like to say down for the cause. They're down to just have a really good conversation, which is what I am. I do want to kind of tie something together. How do you go from both of you working in showbiz to meeting, and then now you have this hugely successful bake shop? Where did that correlation happen?
It really was just happenstance. We both worked at a hotel here. I was managing the singers and dancers, and Stephen was a dancer at the property. And we obviously fell in love at first sight. So
obviously,
we'll go past that.
Obviously,
and then Stephen was in a show at night called The Folies Bergère, and during the day he would get bored and bake, and he loved watching Ace of Cakes.
Ace of Cakes. That's a long time ago. No offense to Ace of Cakes, just that was the groundbreaking show.
Yeah,
and what I loved about Ace of Cakes was Duff and his team were all people that weren't necessarily cake decorators. Right. They came from different avenues.
Yeah, they had like art backgrounds.
Yeah, and they were making cakes, and I was like, wait, they're not like, they didn't go to culinary school.
Right.
Like,
they didn't go to Le Cordon Bleu.
Yeah.
Right.
I was like, wait, maybe I can do that if they can do it. So I started like playing around and that kind of stuff, and people started ordering cakes. Like, I wasn't taking any money. It was just like this cast party, that cast party,
friend's birthday party or whatever. And then he just got so busy with it that I started helping. And I have a very artsy background. Like, I've always loved like painting and sculpting and doing things like that. So he would have me make like the little fondant animals and toppers and stuff.
I remember. Because I was in a show called Divas, Las Vegas, and I had a cake. It was a Madagascar cake, if we're allowed to say names.
Yes.
And I had to go to Divas for the show. It was at 10 o'clock at night, and he was finished work. So I was like, when I get back, we'll make the characters. Like, I'm not very good at it, but we were starting out. I came home, and he had made all the characters out of fondant, and they were spot on. Like, I was like, how do you know how to do that?
It's what I do.
He just.
It's hard being that talented, but
it's so hard.
He's gonna take that burden.
Somebody's got to.
Well, I will say, when, of course, the co-host of my other podcast, Bears of a Certain Age, it was me and Scott, and he's like, no, we have to go here. You have to see the bake shop. I don't know if anything truly prepares you. Like, you are excited, but nothing prepares you for what you walk into. Memorabilia and the playbills all over the wall, and then the cakes that are based off of things that, if you're a little gay boy from the Midwest like I was, it's everything.
Yeah.
So let's say no one does this. I don't know any other place that does it like you guys do this. So were you nervous at all when you decided, you know what, let's just go all out?
It was a decision process. I remember I found it the other day. I had a notebook of all the ideas of what a bakery could be that wasn't Showboy, because I had been in shows, and when you're a dancer in the production shows in Las Vegas, especially like Jubilee, Folies Bergère, you're referred to as a showboy. And so I did a wedding cake one time, and as a thank you, I just wrote Showboy Cakes as a
nice.
And when we decided to open the shop, I'm like, what's more relatable though? Like Showboy, are they gonna be weirded out by that, or should it be like S&J cakes, or
something
cute
boring.
cakes, and should it be like browns and pinks and teals like everything else? And then one day we were just like, hang on a second, if we're gonna do this, let's do what we know. What do we always say? Stick to what you know.
Stick to what you know, always.
Don't divert. And also, we're gonna have to be here all day, every day. I want to be in a
all time.
that
it has to be like fun for us to be in, and that's our passion, is musical theater and New York City and the glitz and glam and everything of it all. So we wanted to create an environment that we wanted to be in, and definitely something like, I hate going to the bakery and it's just like boring. It's so sterile, or it's like the blues and pinks. Everything's just so basic, and so we knew we had to have a theme. You can't be gay.
Yeah.
But we also don't. I feel like you go to a lot of bakeries and you'll see the bakery racks full of cakes and breads or whatever,
right?
And you'll see like that it's a bakery. But I like that you come in here and it's like, hang on a second, what's going on? And then you get to the cakes. Like, I love that.
Right.
Well, I had the best conversation with you guys when I was there, because obviously I wanted to, try out the cakes, the cupcakes and everything, but we got to talk about your love of Broadway and my love of Broadway. I'm lucky in my town that all the national tours come through, and we have an agreement, so I get to go to them all and talk to them all, and it's my favorite thing I could ever do. I want to know. Now, you told me at the time about a show you were excited and it was great, which was Death Becomes Her. What is your current favorite musical on Broadway?
Well,
or close to Broadway?
I mean,
we have to say 6, don't we?
Yeah, 6 is our big obsession. We've seen it so many times.
I feel like and just to go back to Death Becomes Her, Death Becomes Her is the best thing I've seen since 6. But I've been obsessed with 6 since the album. And then it took a few years for us to see it, because we went home for my brother's birthday in England, and it was when 6 was still doing like residencies in London and Southampton, I think. And so it wasn't in London when we were there, so we were devastated. Yeah. So it was years until like maybe after the pandemic before we saw it. But we've always loved it, and since then we work with 6 now a lot, doing the cakes.
Nice.
So I'm gonna say 6.
I absolutely love that show. It's an amazing show. I'm kind of like waiting for them to take Death Becomes Her and make it bigger, because I need to see it. It needs to come to my town, and I need to see that. But you brought up, like we've established, you you guys work your asses off. You are always there. You know, we were lucky
Always.
to find an evening that you guys have free that you could do this. What keeps you inspired to keep going back every day? What is it that's the spark?
I mean, for me, it's definitely the creativity, since I very fortunately don't have to do any of the baking part. That Stephen takes care of all of that, thank God. So
Yeah.
I get to be mostly like hands-on with the customers, but my big thing is decorating. And I just love it. I love doing something new. I mean, it kind of gets a little boring when somebody orders like the same unicorn cake over and over and over
Right.
again. Like I've done 12 million of those, but people, especially in Vegas, people get really creative with what they want, and
Exactly.
I love when they like kind of leave it in my hands. They'll just like throw a theme at me. They'll say like, "Oh, I'm having a divorce party, and I hate my husband. He took my car or whatever. Make a cake for me like that." So
Vegas.
I love that.
Yes.
Creative, and it's fun. I'm really inspired by architecture, so I like to do a lot of things. That kind of look like houses, or tell the story through architecture. It's something different every day for me, at least.
And I feel like, especially when we get to go places, if we get booked to do an out of town wedding or a show opening somewhere, and we try different things, because we will always go to bakeries, and I get inspired by flavors or combinations and stuff like that. And it's the one thing that's hard about being a small business owner is you are here to turn the lights on. You're the last person to turn the lights off before you go home. And sometimes that does get exhausting. But also, I don't work for anybody. I don't, I've got nobody over me telling me that I can't be creative or I can't do this, I can't do that. So it's definitely that thing where it's like, for all the bad things about being the business owner, like, having to replace something when it's broken or pay the bills, I also get to just live my life every day doing what I want to do, and it's...
Yeah. And a lot of it comes down to, like, the environment that we've created here. Like, all of the people that come in, every time somebody walks in, they're like, oh my God, I did not expect this. So we're always down to talk about theater with people, which is very fun for us. They tell us, like, their favorite shows. We tell them our favorite shows. We play musical theater in here all day long. So we literally, when no one's in here, we're singing and dancing, making fools out of ourselves. So
the other day, 2 ladies came in and they said, "Oh, we thought this was a male strip club." And I said,
"It can be."
And you came, and you came in, and like that makes me laugh, because I'm like, I don't know what it is. I think it's this. In we go. Like,
I'm gonna try it out.
Yeah, I do have to say, I was reading an article. I think it's called "The Sun" or something out of Vegas.
Okay.
And it was way back when you had first found out you guys were going to be on Food Network. But what I love that they put you guys with showgirls, which is great. But I'm like, all I want in my life is to go to Vegas and have you guys' cakes with showboys. That's all I want. And I was like, I thought it was funny. They're like, what do we do here? Yeah, that was pretty good.
And I think those pictures too were from Cupcake Wars, because they
were, yeah.
Once you film the show and you win or you lose, whatever,
right.
It was a few months after the show that they come to your store and film like the roll-in. I think
the B-roll, yeah,
right.
Yeah, of like, and that was what was good about, because only Cupcake Wars has done that, where you actually get to promote your show. Your shop on the show, versus, on Cake Wars, we could wear our logo and we could talk about the shop. But Cupcake Wars, they sent like a full production crew out here.
Yeah,
and cool. They asked us, can you get showgirls? And of course we know showgirls, so we got a couple. But they came here and they film you baking and they film everything, and they did this whole like...
Yeah, they had like a whole storyline for us.
It was so cool.
That's amazing to me. I do. So we have some questions from people who watch me be crazy every week.
Okay.
And so I want to send them your way. These are about baking. These are about doing what you guys do. So we'll start with the first one that we got, which is, what do you think the most underused but show-stopping ingredient is in baking?
Oh, mine would be almond.
Oh, yes.
I love almonds.
Well, okay, but here's the debate: almond or almond flavor, because it's two different things.
true.
Oh, so tell me the difference.
Almonds do not taste like almond flavoring.
No, I like both of them though. Almond is a great texture and doesn't really have much of a flavor on its own, so you can pair it with a lot of stuff. But almond extract or almond flavoring,
it tastes like, well, to me it's marzipan, which is probably
which is like a marzipan
almond flavor.
Yeah, marzipan, kind of like cherry type flavor, which I think a lot of people associate with wedding cake.
Yeah.
So I love it. That's my favorite. But
I think the most underrated or underused flavor is Earl Grey.
Oh yeah, Earl Grey is such a good. Such a good.
I have had it in cupcakes, and it you don't think about it. You know what I mean? You would never, as not a baker, would never cross my mind.
Oh,
but it actually is pretty good.
Yeah, that is. I mean, we do a lot of things. A lot of people don't realize that if you just like take out the water ingredient in your recipe and substitute it with orange juice or beer or Earl Grey tea or whatever, you can really do a lot with any liquid. I mean, Coca-Cola, anything.
Right. I mean, you can clean your car battery with Coca-Cola, so you can do anything with Coca-Cola.
Anything
exactly.
Okay, so let's pivot from that and say what is an. So let's say your bake tanks. It is like, what are some easy saves that you've used that are creative that you've used when things seem unsavable?
Oh, that's so crazy.
When things seem unsavable, I mean,
like when heads are rolling off of cakes. I mean,
the thing about it is that we always have the luxury, if it's a luxury of time, in that when we're not being filmed for a show, if something goes wrong, no one needs to know about it, so we can fix it and still present it. I think one thing that I will say to that is that I love the phrase happy accidents, because sometimes something will go wrong with a cake and you're so mad, but then when you fix it, you're like, oh, that looks better.
Yeah, why didn't I do that in the first place? You're like trying to, there's a crack in your buttercream or whatever, so you have to make a cute little like fondant accent, like a fondant feather or something to like stick on it. And you're like, that should have been there the whole time anyway. So
I think my answer is happy accidents.
Yeah, I mean, baking's nice because you can always figure out a solve for anything. If something falls off a cake or something cracks, I mean, just melt some chocolate and patch it right up or what. Yeah, you can always add something.
Wait, I think a lot of our listeners don't have any, like, they like to bake, but they're not at a level obviously like you guys. So I think that kind of stuff is helpful.
Well, also it definitely helps if you're if you have a bake shop versus baking at home. You've got a ton of stuff around you. So when you don't have the circle cutter, you've got something, or if you don't have a star cutter, you've got something. Like, there's always something you can use. But I think that another really big help is glitter.
Oh yeah, love edible glitter. Yes, always rescues you, no matter what.
I think that's amazing. And it has rescued me many times, and not even with baking.
There you go. Exactly.
So what would you say like are 3 baking 101 tips for people who are just starting? What would you say are helpful tips for them?
Always follow a recipe.
Oh yeah. Baking is very scientific.
It's very scientific. And it's not scientifically like, it's not like you've got to be smart scientifically to bake. It's just that if you miss one thing, it doesn't work. It's not like when you're cooking and you're like, I didn't have, hot sauce, so I did. That kind of works somehow. But you've got to have everything you need. And on that note, I always love, if I'm trying something new, to have it all in front of me. So put it in bowls, so you've got it all. You're not searching for things, because that's when you forget something, is when you're looking for all. So prep it ahead of, yourself.
Prepping is a big part of baking, I would say, too.
And then also, another favorite thing, and I try to tell myself this every single day of my life, don't be hard on yourself, because you're going to screw up and you're going to get it right. But when you screw up, you can't be too hard on yourself.
Yeah.
You start over. It's not that deep.
Right, yeah. Baking's not that deep. It's supposed to be fun and enjoyable for not only the person that's creating it, but the person that's eating it too. So, everybody has fun all around with it.
And also,
I love that.
A good rule of thumb is that 9 times out of 10, people don't care what it looks like. If it tastes delicious,
right? That's the big thing.
Yeah. So if you're
That's a
worried about
true statement.
just take it to the party. They will love it.
Yeah. And I have to say, so I am known. I've been doing shows for like 15 years. I'm super young, but I started at 15. So
Same as us. Same as us.
Right, exactly. But one of the things over the years, I've done so many versions, is I love real people, authentic people, enthusiastic people about what they do. And that's the first thing I noticed when I came into your shop with Scott is I think that even that alone changes the experience, right? You go in there, you two are very personable, you talk, and I think that comes through and that says a lot. Plus, it's impossible to go in there and not see that there's a lot of joy going on in creating these amazing cakes.
Yeah, you can't come in here and not be happy.
Right? And that's what I love. So I had to share that before it left my brain.
That's very
things
sweet.
do that.
Thank you so much.
I want to say you guys mentioned this way back at the beginning, but I want to say I wrote down a question. It's how precious should we be with that old family recipe? Don't want to tell anybody, or do you? So you've been on both sides of it, not wanting to give it up, and then being free. What kind of words of advice for those of us with those kinds of recipes would you give?
Share it.
I mean,
give it away. Give it up.
At the end of the day, and I think this comes from, I know we said we're very young, but you realize things are not that important in terms of, if you want to equate it to show business, when you think about when people start out and they're very competitive and they're up against each other and all that stuff, you get to a point where you're all in the room and you're like, do you know what? There's enough parts for everyone. So I feel like for us now, it's like, oh, you want to know how I did that? I posted it on Instagram, so you're going to ask. I'll let you know how to do it if you want to try it at home. And then show me the picture of what you did. Like, I mean, what do we have to lose? I do understand when people are like, it was my grandmother's, so I don't want to pass it on or that kind of thing.
Right.
But also,
I don't understand that. I mean, I promise you, nothing is that unique. There are only so many combinations of flour and sugar and water. Your recipe is not that special. Give it up.
And the reason you love it is because it was your grandma. You know what I mean? So let
that
because
she made it for you. That's
exactly.
That's what made it special.
It's a terrible cake.
It's the like the words. Uncle Charlie choked on it. But okay, well. And I have to say, you bring up such a beautiful point, which is, so I lived in LA for quite a few years, and there was a difference. A lot of people there, not everyone, I've met some wonderful people, but a lot of people there, you're taught that it has to be you or no one.
Right.
Like you have to. And I love that idea because it takes me back to a thought I had earlier, which is no one is you and you are no one.
Exactly.
And only you bring what you bring. Like no one's gonna bring the cupcakes and the cakes and the personality and the glitter and the jazz to things like you will.
Exactly, it's a whole package.
Yeah. So focus on what you want to do and you doing it differently. And what did Oprah teach us? Don't look back to see who's coming up on you, or you will not make it. You know.
100%.
Yeah, and I think that for me is more important. I always try to find the wisdom because that's
I love that.
Right, I'm sure that's what our show is. So, as we wrap up, I do want to say, tell me your favorite cake for each of you that you created based on some inspiration so far.
Mine, I'm going back to what you talked about. Mine are always the 6 cakes. We do a ton of them. And each time I try to make it a little bit different. But I think if I wasn't doing cakes, I would love to be working in wardrobe in the theater. So I love 6 because it's so visually stimulating with the costumes and the style that I love putting that into the art form of cake. And actually, if you follow my Instagram, I actually just posted the Aragon cookie that I did today. Because I love that. I think in another life, I would have been creating costumes somewhere.
Yeah, you definitely would. We're doing another 6 cake coming up shortly, too, for a new cast that's going into the show. So we're putting a lot of pressure on ourselves right now, trying to think of
something different,
a new, different design.
Yeah.
So if you have any thoughts about that, let us know, please.
Yes.
You'll just have to watch the show another couple times. I mean, the pain of inspiration.
Darn. I know. We love it. I love seeing new people in the show too, so it's really
yes.
fun. My favorite, I don't really have like a favorite cake per se that I've done, but I like cakes that need to match like a building that we're going to or the vibe of a venue. That's my favorite thing. Like we have our performing arts center here is called the Smith Center, and we just did a wedding there recently, and they wanted the cake to reflect like the Art Deco style of the Smith Center. So I love doing stuff like that. So like I took their staircase handles, pulled inspiration from that, pulled inspiration from the chandeliers.
Like, to give you kudos, it was so well thought out because we knew the couple, they're friends of ours, and they were getting married there because they have the season tickets and they go there all the time. It's like their date night. And they wanted the elements of it, and the Smith Center being very Art Deco, it's silvers, golds, beiges, like very, but you did it all in white.
Yeah.
And it was a wedding cake, but it looked like it was so clever.
I love doing stuff like that. I like doing stuff that, like, unless you live there or work there, you wouldn't know that the details in the cake are that necessarily. But like whoever saw that and they worked at the Smith Center, they'd be like, that's our chandelier design, or that's our staircase design. I like little things like that, the little details.
Yeah, I love that. And before we get to, I want you to definitely share. Like, I follow your Instagram all the time. I want you to share where people can find you. But I also want to say, have you done? You probably have because you're going to be way more creative than I am. But have you done the absolutely amazing dresses as cakes from Six? I frickin' can't get over their costumes.
Yes, we have.
It's amazing.
I love their costumes.
We did.
Yes.
If anyone's interested, I don't get to do it as much as I used to, but I have an account called Leading Lady Cookies, and I've done all of their costumes as cookies. Which it actually was kind of a pandemic passion project because we couldn't do anything. We weren't allowed to open, and so just to kind of keep the buzz alive, I started this cookie thing. So I've done all of their costumes as cookies, as well as Elwood's and Pearl from Starlight Express.
You've done a ton.
And then when we've done the cakes for Six, we always try and incorporate the costumes on there, either as panels or tiers. But no, I agree with you. I think it's such a brilliant concept. And as somebody who grew up in England, and the Tudors are very, it's
very prominent.
It's very prominent.
Yes.
We taught everything in school about, we follow that kind of culture. I think it's brilliant because you took a show about something so steeped in history, and then they had a rock concert and in futuristic costumes, and they've got microphones. And then on top of it, it's all girls.
That's
I
favorite
love
kind of show,
it. I love it.
It was amazing. Now, do people are people able to do they need to fly in to Vegas and go to your shop, or do you ship anything?
I mean, we'll ship simple little things like cookies or chocolate covered Oreos, stuff like that. But a lot of our stuff is just so fragile it won't ship. We've tried a couple of times to ship things, but they just have not worked out.
And with it being so hot here, we can ship cookies from December 5th to December 7th, and that's about it.
Exactly. Well, I have to say, you were mentioning fall earlier, and I'm like, I was just talking to a friend from Vegas yesterday, and he's like, well, it's our fall.
It is.
It's not like
it's 102 right now. It's beautiful.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I used to say you could not tell the difference between 100 and 110.
Right.
This summer got so hot. I'm like, there is a difference between 110 and 128.
Yes, hugely. It made a complete difference.
Yeah.
So I just want you to find a way to box up a ShowBoy for me and just send that. That's all I need.
I would love that.
We'll find a ShowBoy and we send him your way.
Yeah, and we can always travel.
Exactly.
We're not.
You guys do a lot of work, and you do go out of your way to make it If someone wants you to come to do those things, you'll do it.
Yeah, we will do our damnedest to find a way to make people happy.
If you pay, we'll come.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. That was my dating model for a long time, but you know.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
So please, I love it. Please tell people where they can follow you, like on Instagram, where your website is, anything like that.
Yeah, on Instagram we're at ShowBoy Bake Shop.
Yes. Instagram's our biggest platform. We do use sometimes we'll tweet or X, and
we don't have a TikTok.
We don't have a TikTok.
How do you survive? No,
I don't know.
And being such a young generation, how do
people send me like TikTok videos all the time, and like I can't open them on my phone. I'm like,
I don't have TikTok.
I just pretend
like,
that
no.
I'm like, that was hysterical.
So not on TikTok.
Right.
Yeah. Our website is showboybakeshop.com. And also, if anybody's interested in baking or like learning things about baking, on our website there's a tab called Baking with Broadway, where it links to our YouTube channel, and we teach Broadway celebrities how to bake cute, fun little desserts that are themed after the shows that they've been. So if you want to make like a little Galinda cookie with Megan Hilty, you can go to our website and watch that.
Some lovely, like Annalie Ashford, we did a cookie with.
Yeah, we have some really fun episodes.
It was really fun. And then we even made the Kay Howard cookies with Sam Polly, who was the OG.
Yeah.
So on there.
I was today years old when I realized you had that show, and
it was so fun.
It was this morning, and I freaked out because not only is it baking and it's you guys, but then these people. This is my goal for you is the minute you have Patti LuPone on, I'm flying down.
You know, we at our wedding we had a cardboard cutout of Patti LuPone at our wedding that people like took pictures in the photo booth with and everything.
She's here.
Crazy.
We have her here.
Yeah, she lives in our baby.
That is brilliant. That is brilliant.
We put her out like a ghost light when we go home.
That's how it should be. That's how it should be. I could talk to you guys forever, to be honest with you. I love talking to you, which means there'll have to be a sequel in our future.
Yeah.
Or I will fly down and we'll have my producer, Kurt, I think you saw his hand earlier. You will help teach me who cannot bake or cook or anything. We'll make that happen because you guys are amazing.
Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. And people, I'm serious. If you are in Vegas, it's in Henderson, right? Just outside.
Yeah, we're like 20 minutes from the Strip.
Yeah, not bad at all. Go. That's all I have to say. When we were in there, Coco Montrese was outside. I mean,
that's right.
Yes. I think she was like, no. No, I see weird people in there. No.
Right.
But no, I mean, it's such an experience. So thank you so much for being on my show.
Thank you for inviting
us.
We made it happen. Yeah. And remember, everybody, you can go to our website, which is thequeercentric.com. You can follow me on social media. You can follow me in your car. That works too. Always here to uplift, show you creative people and how we connect to the things in our lives that keep us. I'm sorry, it's what keeps. You said, do what you love. It keeps us moving forward, and we need way more of that and way less of the hate out there. So, thank you so much, and
thank you. Thank you for wearing that ShowBoy jacket too.
Right here, all for you.
Right at home.
Yeah, and now everybody go to your kitchen and try to bake something. Don't burn the house down. But try to bake something.
Add a little sparkle.
Until next time, everybody, we will see you on the airwaves. Bye.
Bye.
I don't really know what comes next. I'm just doing my best, even though I'm so stressed out. Everything just feels like a test that I fail, so depressed when I can't seem to get out. But something